lead us tonight, please?
Gladly. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Tammy, will you take us through a roll call, please?
Yes, I will. Those present tonight are Mayor Shaw, Council Members Baker, Armbruster, Kemp, and McVeigh. Staff present, our City Attorney, our City Engineer, Public Works Director, our City Planner, Fire Marshal, Code Enforcement and Building Official, and Lieutenant MacGyver, and excused absence tonight is Ryan Rowe.
And present is also Tammy Justice.
Oh yes, myself, I'm here too, thank you.
Council, I'll look for approval of agenda, please.
Move to approve the agenda?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed 4-0. Thank you, Council. I'll now look for approval of the consent agenda, please.
Move to approve the consent agenda to include March 25th claims 84, 89 through 8505 and one EFT in the amount of $87,542.80. March 11 meeting minutes and March 2025 payroll in the amount of $38,716.92. The March treasurer's report, the April 8 claim vouchers 8513, 8525, and two EFTs in the amount of $28,519.51, which have been audited and verified by the audit committee.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed 4-0. Thank you very much, Council. We'll now move into public comment. And I think everybody signed up. You doing, Katrina? Did you want to speak for public comment?
This is my very first meeting, so which is I'm kind of watching. I will have a public comment, but maybe not at this time.
Okay. So when you, in the future, we have a clipboard up here, so when you want to come in and sign up for public comment,
Okay.
you come in first and you can speak, and then we go through the public comment time right now, which is gives you somebody in the public a chance to talk for 3 minutes, and it's not a question and answering. It's just where you get to talk and the council listens to you.
Okay.
Okay.
We can move this up, I think, Katrina. Can you put your foot on
Okay.
there? Oh. Here. It's probably not tall enough for you, is it?
You know, I can hold my laptop too.
Okay, there you go.
How much time do you need, Katrina?
How much time do you want to give me?
Or are you ready to go now? That's what I was meaning. Otherwise, are you ready to go?
I'm good.
You're show up, put you on the spot.
Ready to roll.
All right, well, I'm not used to this setup.
We're moving to presentation from the TRPC Regional Transportation Plan. Katrina, the room is yours.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. I'm Katrina Van Every. I am the Transportation Manager for Thurston Regional Planning Council. Some of you I know because I used to be the planner for Rainier, but now I'm in a different role, so it's really nice to be down here and nice to see some old faces and some new faces. So every 5 years, TRPC works on updating the Regional Transportation Plan. It is a transportation plan for all of Thurston, the Thurston region. We look 25 years into the future to try and estimate what our transportation system is going to look like. We've been doing transportation planning and regional planning for the future for the last 50 years. So it's a lot of things that we've done before. TRPC itself is a 23-member intergovernmental board. Rainier is, of course, one of our members, and we have Councilmember McVeigh that sits on our Transportation Policy Board and our council. And our mission is really to provide visionary leadership on regional plans. So not just things that happen at individual jurisdictions, but things that happen all over our region. Policies and issues for the benefit of all our residents in the Thurston region. So we look at assembling and analyzing data. We try to convene groups when it's necessary, and again, looking at across the region. And we try to build intergovernmental consensus. And conducting planning consistent with state and federal regulations. And the Regional Transportation Plan is part of that. So this is a plan that we do every 5 years. It is a state and federal requirement that we do this plan. And so we really are trying to keep in mind what's happening on the regional level. So when we talk about the Regional Transportation Plan, there are some key takeaways that everyone should know. The first is that our region's planned land use and roadway capacity improvements alone will not be sufficient to meet our regionally adopted targets, goals, and level of service standards. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. We can still make progress, though, on those regionally adopted targets and goals, which will help reduce level of service failures or congestion expected in the future. And then finally, our growing population will lead to increased traffic volumes. And projects in the Regional Transportation Plan will help mitigate vehicle congestion associated with this growth. Oops, sorry. So again, the Regional Transportation Plan, or What Moves You 2050, is our regional roadmap for a complete and high-functioning transportation system over the next 25 years. It looks at not just vehicle movements, but also looks at bicycles and pedestrians. It looks at transit. It looks at freight. We have information on things that the Port of Olympia is doing with regard to the airport as well as their port functions. So we do truly try to look at all of our transportation system and understand what's happening across the entire thing. So again, 25 years planning horizon, that's what we're looking at. We're looking at all transportation modes. It includes regional goals and policies that have been consistent across the region. It includes recommendations. It has a financial forecast. So unlike most plans, or many plans, the Regional Transportation Plan is constrained by reality. So when we do a financial forecast, we look at the projects that their jurisdictions are doing. We look at the funding that is coming into our region for transportation. What is it for maintenance that people are spending on? What are the local projects that they're doing? And then what are those regional projects? And so if we find that there's not enough money to do all of the projects that the jurisdictions have said that they want to do in the next 25 years, we actually have to start screening some projects out because it has to be based in reality. So if there's not enough funding to do the project, we have to figure out a way to either fund it, or we have to start prioritizing which projects are not going to be completed during that 25-year horizon. And then finally, it also includes future conditions. So if it's a 25-year plan and we're looking into the future, let's try and figure out what's happening in the future. So some of the areas of emphasis in the plan are safety, equity, climate change and greenhouse gas emissions, maintaining the system that we've already invested in, and specific projects that continue to enhance transit options, emphasize system efficiency, strategically expand our transportation system when it's appropriate, and plan for local and state roads as a cohesive system. Oops, a little too fast. So, what are those regional targets and goals that I mentioned that we're striving for and we're not meeting? First up is safety. We have a target to reduce traffic fatalities and serious injuries to zero. And what we're finding right now is that our transportation system, over the last number of years, we're on an upward trajectory to see that we are seeing more fatalities and serious injuries. And our goal is to get to zero by 2030. And realistically, that's not going to happen. And so we need to start prioritizing more specifically those projects that can help eliminate those fatalities and serious injuries. Another goal that has been adopted on a regional basis is increasing the share of households in urban areas and preserving our rural areas. So this stems from Sustainable Thurston, and there are 2 targets associated with this. And what we're seeing is that while we are increasing the share of households in urban areas and we're preserving rural areas, it's at a very nominal rate, and it's not increasing the way that we would hope it would. Decreasing annual vehicle miles traveled per capita. So how many miles do you all drive? Probably more than people in Olympia, because you have to go farther to get access to services. But what we're seeing is that as a region, we are decreasing our annual vehicles miles traveled. But again, we're not getting there as fast as we would like to. The 4th one is to decrease our greenhouse gas emissions. And when we talk about greenhouse gas emissions, it's from all sources. It's not just from vehicles. Although vehicles and what the greenhouse gas emissions associated with transportation makes up 1/3 of our total greenhouse gas emissions, it's a big chunk. But we're talking about all of it. So what's produced by vehicles, what's produced by buildings, what's produced by other sources. And again, this is another one where the data shows that our trend is upward, our goal is downward, and we're still in this middle ground of not seeing a lot of improvement in that regard. Finally, the last one is actually not a target, it is a goal, and that goal is to increase active transportation, so walking and bicycling, and transit use. And it differs from the other 4 because we've actually adopted targets for those. This one is just a goal that is identified in the Regional Transportation Plan currently and would carry forward into this new update. So we don't know what does it mean to increase active transportation and transit use. What I can tell you is that what we're seeing into the future is that share of people who use active transportation and transit is not increasing. The number might be increasing, but the share is not. And we have, as a region, an opportunity and a need to really identify what does that mean. We can look at this particular goal in terms of our rural areas, our urban corridors where transit service is more robust, and other areas of the community to see what it looks like. But we don't have specific targets saying our goal is, we want to be here in 25 years. It just says that we want to see an increase. And we're not actually seeing that based on the data that we have. So how will the Thurston region change between now and 2050? We are going to see a lot more people, 100,000 more. We're going to see 58,000 more households. We're going to see 52,000 more jobs and 52,000 more people living near transit. And this includes both areas where people are within a half mile of an intercity transit stop, but also folks that are living within a half mile of a rural transit route. We have 80 projects that are included in our regional transportation plan. They're going to be adding more miles of new roadways, more travel lanes, more new and rebuilt bicycle and pedestrian facilities, more multi-use trails. An example of that is the Gate Belmore Trail is a project included in the regional transportation plan. And 3 more new or realigned highway interchanges. So really focusing on the I-5 corridor on that one. And finally, improved transit facilities and expanded service. And I'll just note that for this one, that really is talking about intercity transit projects, not necessarily rural transit projects. Rural transit is a special beast that relies on grants to operate, whereas intercity transit has a public transportation benefit area where they can actually tax folks to garner garner funding to support that service. So it's a little bit different there, but that's what that's referring to. So some projects in the regional transportation plan that are relevant for this area and places that might be important to you are trail projects. So the Yelm Prairie Line Trail that Yelm is working on that would eventually connect to Roy and McKenna. And then Yelm Rainier to Nino Trail extension that Thurston County would eventually work on, and that's the extension down to Bucota. Some WashDOT projects and studies include I-5 hard shoulder running. So as you know, sometimes it can be a beast to get around on I-5 between Olympia, Tumwater, and Pierce County. And what this would do is open up during peak congestion times is the ability to use the shoulder as a travel lane so that it opens it up during that time. The Yelm Loop, so the north section, so the 510 loop that kind of bypasses the downtown Yelm area. And then the series of roundabouts that is planned for 507 at Bald Hills Road, 702, and I forget the other intersection. But trying to ease traffic through those key intersections when coming through Yelm, it just gets bogged down. Some studies that might be important to this area include the Emergency Incident Management Detour Route Improvements Study that's underway currently by TRPC. We're also working on a regional multimodal level of service, just looking at, rather than just relying on a level of service for vehicles, so are we getting vehicles through the way that they should, but do we have systems in place, transportation systems in place that support walking, bicycling, and transit. The Regional Trails Work Program, so one of the things that came out of TRPC's update of the Regional Trails Plan was this need to start convening our regional partners for trails and talking about that, hosting an annual meeting, and then on a consistent basis, updating the Trails Plan so that the new information that comes from you all and other sources can be implemented or input into that plan. There's also underway right now the Regional Transportation Safety Action Plan. So I talked about safety being a real issue for us. We're seeing serious injuries and fatalities go up where we want to see them go down to zero. And so this plan is going to start looking more specifically at where are the biggest issues in our community and what can we do from a design standpoint to start alleviating those things. And then prioritizing those projects on a regional basis. And then finally, the transportation resiliency strategy. So when our transportation system breaks due to man-made natural disasters or others, how do we get our transportation back up and running as quickly as possible? And what are those key pieces that need to go in first so that it can support recovery for the entire region? So those are just some of the projects in the Regional Transportation Plan that might apply and might be of interest to folks in Rainier. So right now we're on the tail end of this update process. We've completed a draft and we anticipate tomorrow the Transportation Policy Board approving or recommending that it be released for public comment. If that happens, then the public comment period would go from April 11th to May 9th. That is an opportunity for all members of the community to provide their input, whether it's on specific projects, whether it's on the goals and policies that are outlined in the plan. Any feedback that folks have is what we welcome. It's also an opportunity for jurisdictions. So if we haven't gotten something right for Rainier, well, let's hear about it and identify how we can do better. In June, we'll take all that feedback that we hear from the public and go to the Transportation Policy Board and ask for their recommendation. We'll have taken that feedback and revised the draft based on it, and so that is what we will be asking the Policy Board to make a recommendation on. And then we'll go in July to Council to ask them to actually adopt the new plan. And then it would go into effect, and that's what would be for the next 5 years. And then we start the whole process over again to see where we're going to be in 2055. So there's a lot of work that goes into this. We work closely with our jurisdiction staff to understand what's important to our partners in the region. And we're excited to see a lot of work done on this one. But I'm happy to answer any questions you might have and take note if I don't know the answer to get back to you. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'll stay here though.
Council, anybody got questions? City staff?
Was the roundabout here in the main intersection of town there considered in the plan?
It is not, and the reason for that is considered a local project and intersections that are just one-off roundabouts or intersection improvements aren't considered regionally significant. So while it has an immediate effect on people being able to navigate that individual intersection, the modeling that we do is not fine-grained enough to see that, if that makes sense. So we use a different model to understand those intersection movements. But yeah, so individual roundabouts or intersection improvements aren't considered regionally significant. If you have a chain of 3 or more, then it's more significant.
Right, being on the emergency route doesn't help.
Being on an emergency route is another issue, but yeah, so that's something that we would consider as part of the emergency detour routes.
Any other questions? Thank you, Katrina.
Thank you for your time.
Katrina, you're welcome to stay, but don't feel obligated.
Okay, we'll move to staff reports. Start with you tonight, Adam.
I don't have too much. At the last planning commission meeting, we didn't have time to present the elements that GNO worked on, the transportation, utilities, and capital facilities elements. So it will be the meeting this month on the 15th, and my boss Dominic will be here to present it. Besides that, after finally getting the data that we need for the water model, for the water system plan, we've started on the water model. We have a modeler in the company. She does it almost exclusively, so she's good. Yep.
Good. And Theron was helpful for that, and
Oh, absolutely.
did
Yeah.
what you asked of him?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
And we got to identify some problems in the system that we didn't work on. It's the fire pump, so.
I think I hope he's gonna discuss it, because if not, I'm gonna have you discuss it since you gave me a tour and showed me everything. Okay, any questions for Adam? Thank you, Adam. Theron?
Okay, since our last meeting, we've been busy starting our springtime mowing. Changed over a lot of our equipment from winter mode to spring mode, got rid of our plows and sanders and getting our dump truck back. Started, like I said, started the mowing process. All of our mowers, weed eaters, everything are all tuned up and ready to go for the season. Paul's done extensive spraying of weeds, which we feel good about. We got a jump on that early this year. We have a street sweeper that we've rented for this week, so you'll see us out and about sweeping the streets, getting them clean for the summertime. You get a chance, poke your head out here. Paul did a beautiful job of replanting under the Rainier sign here. Looks beautiful out there. And we did do the fire flow testing for our water system plan, and that exposed some issues with our backup fire pump. Some being a dead battery, some being it not coming on when it's called for automatic start. So we've been systematically working through that. We've installed a new battery, we've done fluid and filter changes on it, we've got the pump running. We do have a few intermittent problems that we're working on, but we're getting really, really close to be able to do a substantial test on it. And it was good because I like to expose a problem before it's in an emergency situation, so that exposed our problems and we're fixing that and working through them.
You're exposed to could have been a very bad situation that was exposed, and we're rapidly trying to get it fixed.
Yes,
ASAP.
yes, we're getting very close, very, very close.
And been working hard on that. So. Any questions or comments for Theron?
Have we had any luck determining who the chainsaw bandit is cutting trees on the trail?
I have heard nothing. We came in last Friday morning and the apple trees down this end of the trail were cut down. And all we noticed were that the branches were down. They were cut about yo high, and somebody obviously took a chainsaw because they were nice, cleanly cut. And Tammy checked with the county. She didn't hear from anybody at the county did anything, and nobody has fessed up, so we're looking for the chainsaw bandit. We have no clue.
That's a shame, those were two good trees.
Yeah, they were very good trees. So yeah, no clue.
What's interesting is that there's a lot of trees there.
Yeah.
How they picked those two and just moved on.
Yeah, and nobody saw them or, yeah.
Any other questions, comments for Theron? I know you're hiding in the corner, Jim.
Planning department didn't have too much come up this week. We, as we continue each month, work through with the planning commission on the update to the comp plan. This next week we'll be hearing from G&O on their portion of the comp plan. We are on track to get through that information via, our deadline is June 30th, I believe, 2025, to get most of that comp plan completed and get it adopted by the end of the year. So we're working through that, and we have no other new land use applications this month. So far, we are expecting a couple other new ones, short plats, by the end of the month. So, any questions? And the building department and I continue to work through a couple code enforcement issues, including the U-Haul, but we're working through those. I think we're making good progress on that.
Any questions for Jim? Thank you, Jim. Matt?
Let's see here. Good evening. Just run through the call volume, the call response data. It's a pretty slow month for the city of Rainier. 21 total calls, which is it's good to be slow. There were 3 times the engineer in town was unavailable to go to those calls, though they were on other calls. There were still 93 other total calls in like their response area. But that being said, there were only 3 times that they weren't available, so it's pretty good. Nothing really to note. Just a lot of just different types of medical calls. No big fires or anything. Inspections are ongoing. They're going well. All the businesses I contact seem to be very receptive, or at least resigned to having to fix the things that the fire code says that they need to fix. So, and a little shout out to Theron. I was working on a project. It's actually for outside of Yelm. I was downtown and swung up there, and he actually kind of helped me figure out which pump we're going to need for an issue down there. So appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day to show up unannounced to do that. So that actually helped out quite a bit. So thank you. And that's really all I got.
Thank you. Any questions for Matt? Lieutenant MacGyver?
How can they use my title when they just go by your first name?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I guess.
That's a cool thing.
So I guess one of the good things about splitting command over the course of most of the day is now the graveyard crew has a commander over them that they have to answer to. So in the first month of me working the swing shift with the patrol department, the area checks in the city of Rainier have almost doubled, so they can't hide at night anymore. And so we did, from last month, we had 101 calls for service, which includes everything in the city of Rainier, and this month there was 153. So we conducted 44 more area checks than we did the month prior. An increase in follow-ups because of those area checks, whatever. It increases like suspicious activity and those types of things, because guys and gals are driving around town and seeing things that look maybe out of place a little bit more, or that's how they just code it, so it comes out. 20 more traffic stops in town than we did the month prior. So there is definitely a increase in activity here, a presence with the sheriff's office within the city. And it seems like all of the other things that we had, like vehicle prowls and other legitimate crimes or thefts or whatever the case may be, decreased because of that activity. It could be coincidence, but coincidences aren't usually good in our line of work. It usually has to do with something. So other than that, calls for service were down. We didn't have any major calls or crimes that took place in the city during last month.
Gotta catch the tree bandit now.
Well, I just found out we got a chainsaw bandit. Is that what we're calling him or her? All right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Any questions for
absolutely.
Lieutenant?
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Tips, I've had 2 neighbors complain about speeding cars up there recently.
Okay.
Tons of cars going by, and 4-wheelers and 2-wheel motorcycles and stuff, the dirt bikes, all of them going by, and it seems like very excessive speed.
Any particular time of day, or is it just kind of happening like randomly?
During the daytime, not nighttime activity, but daytime, dusk, somewhere between dawn and dusk.
Okay. I'll make sure maybe we can also, if it might help, we can get one of those little speed readers up there.
That was my next question for you.
Yeah.
Get one of those up there, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll pass on to patrol units to, you know, spend some more time up on Tipsaloo. That's easy peasy.
That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, next one, I'm gonna have an introduction because I don't know if everybody knows, but we have Brian Van Kluck.
Von Kluk.
Kluk?
Von Kluk.
Von Kluk. Okay, how did I say it?
Van Kluck versus Von Kluk.
I know
One
that- I
sounds
know
like a
that.
chicken,
I'm
one
sorry.
sounds a little German.
Okay, Brian. Brian, you know, we told you that we'd hired him as our code enforcement officer back in January. Brian is now also our building official. LG has retired, and Brian has been working with LG, so a lot of you have probably seen him in town. He was working for LG, and LG has trained him, and he is now officially our building official also. So congratulations on coming on board, and I'm glad you're here tonight.
Thank you.
And so you now can speak on code enforcement,
Sure.
which I know they want a little update, and then anything on the building side.
Well, we'll start with building side. It's pretty light. There's mostly just some light inspections up in Tipsy that we've had, with a few homes, mobile homes going in. We have a new construction residential home going in. Code enforcement, though, has been a little bit more exciting. The DARE project, that I call it, I think I've closed that one out. They've done everything we've asked them to do. They put up a fence, and from what I can see, are abiding by all codes. So I'm going to close them out in my chapter book unless somebody sees something differently that I'm not. I drove by today to check on them. They've been very responsive. They reached out to me. They talked to me. So I've had no problems with them. Moving down the line, 203 Binghamton. There's a fence that seems to be a problem with that. I reached out to Naomi and let her know that she is outside of her limit of time that she could try to change things, and that we're going to move to take care of ourselves. So she asked for a little bit of grace and said starting Sunday, they're going to be cutting it down 4 feet, and they'll have it completed by Wednesday. So the fence will no longer be 6 feet, it'll be down to the 4 feet that it's required to be. So that should be completed as of this coming up Wednesday. She emailed me, and anything beyond that will be outside my hands, and I'll move it down for us taking care of ourselves. I then went out to the U-Haul sign company and reached out to those guys, went there and spoke with them personally. Kind of let them know about the process in which they need to follow for getting things in line that Jim kind of sent an email back about, explaining to them as well. I did say that they need to remove their vehicles and we need to come up with a plan. So their plan is that after Easter Monday, those vehicles are gone. So they're removing them until they can follow through with the cut process and or rezoning process with the city. But they will no longer be there. The signs that they have are flagged, so they're not outside the code, but they are with the U-Haul, so they're going to be removing those as well.
The only other one that we have on that property is the restaurant sign. The restaurant sign is out of code. They do not have a sign permit. I spoke with them, and we should be receiving an application in this next week, if not tomorrow, for that sign application. So that's all the code enforcement issues I have right now. Oh, one more. 805 tip sue is the other one. I'm sorry. It's closer to you.
I was gonna ask.
Yes, I'm sorry. So I spoke with the homeowner multiple times for that. We will be sending out a notice to them tomorrow. He understands that they're out of compliance, and they will be removing those trailers. So he asked for some time. I said the max, the code states 5 to 10 days. 10 days from when we send a letter out. That's the minimum. So we'll probably give him a few weeks to get that out. He's just moving things from another residence to here. He'll remove them. I asked just about the vehicles that were on site, and they all function, so they're not run down and disheveled, so I don't really have any grounds on that one. But he is willing to do whatever we want. He just wants to sit and fit inside the code that Rainier has, so he wasn't fighting me at all either on that, so he is moving towards compliance. And that's really all I have for code.
Any questions for Brian on either phase?
On the storage of the vehicles, doesn't the code require vehicles stored to be on a hardened surface, which is now, can be permissibly gravel?
It did. That's where the struggle I'm trying to find out is it specifies that, but not for residential zones. So I'm going to try to look deeper in the code to see if I can find that, but I wasn't saying that. I'll take a look.
I've
I'll
always
get back to
enforced
you.
that, but, you know, if they had asphalt back there, or even gravel, I'd feel a little more comfortable.
So just for gravel?
Gravel.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that.
Thurston County constitutes gravel as a hardened surface now.
They do, yeah. So I'll take a look at that and include that in my letter.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions for Brian? Okay.
I got over here.
Yeah.
What's the DARE project?
Oh, it's just a resident. It's a resident in Tipsy. That was out of code enforcement, so I just kind of labeled it DARE.
That's a continuing name.
Yeah, continuing. Yeah, they were more colorful. Well, they were also worked with me.
Good.
So I think maybe my size is very helpful. I'm not quite sure, but when I got out of my tiny little pickup truck, they were gentle to talk with me.
Okay, I'd like to thank you, Brian and Jim, to be prepared. I know that U-Haul's been a major issue for multiple council members, and you guys have worked very hard on that in the last 3.5 days to get things taken care of. So thanks to both you and Tammy. And Brian, thanks to council being here tonight. And I know you were on vacation and you finally got going on code enforcement, and that was a great report, and hope everything at the next meeting is taken care of.
I hope so too.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to council reports. Dennis?
I attended TRPC last Friday. I really don't have anything to report since Katrina basically gave me.
She did it all for you.
Yeah.
Any questions for Dennis? Thank you, Dennis. Ron?
Just Transportation Policy Board tomorrow morning. Other than that, that's all I got.
Any questions for Ron? Thanks, Ron. Tom?
Just our emergency management checks went well this month. I did visitations to all our sheltering places in town. Everything looks good. Matt's done his inspections on them, so everything's up and running. And we'll be having a Thurston County meeting again this month sometime. And we'll just have to see what the follow-up is on that. But everything there seems to be working out well too with us. That's about all I got.
Thanks, Tom. Any questions for Tom? Maureen?
No, not really, but I want, Darren, will you tell your public works guys that everything's looking really nice in the city?
Thank you.
The grounds all look really good.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Any questions for Maureen? Bill?
I've had loads of fun the last few months.
Okay.
Part of that was tuning up some of our ordinances to catch up with what the legislature's done with it for the last 3 or 4 years. And I gave
40, 50 pages will keep them busy.
Well, I have been afraid to look at it because I typed most of the brakes on this hand, so.
Let's go get it fixed up. Anything else?
That's enough.
Okay, any questions for Bill? Thanks, Bill. Tammy?
I only have one thing to ask council. We had the National Guard stop by and ask if we could include this flyer in our water bills. And, we checked with Bill. Bill said we are able to because they also are a government agency. And so the question is, does the council give us permission to include these? They'll come to us just like this, so we don't have to fold them. And they said they'd provide staff to help stuff them, but we don't need that. So I'm just asking for your permission to send these in our next water bill in May.
That's just a recruitment ad.
Council head thoughts?
Okay?
They all nodded yes. That's
Perfect.
what they did.
Anything
Perfect.
else?
This is yes.
I don't have anything else. Nope.
Any questions for Tammy? Okay, I don't have much either. A couple weeks ago, attended the REF auction, very successful at the community involvement. And they hit over $1 million in their 25th year. They were pretty excited to make that announcement. I know Maureen was there and Dennis were both there, and thought it was a pretty good function.
Yeah.
Got my Thurston County Mayor's meetings this Friday, where Olympia's hosting, so I'll be in there on Friday. And that's all I have. So, any new business? Any old business? Who's the first one?
Move we adjourn?
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? No further discussion. Meeting adjourned. Or all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned at 5:43.